Start recording. And perfect. So today we are going to do most of the stuff that we did last week in terms of the regular Hong-Sau and affirmation. I thought if you're up to it, I might do a little bit slightly different affirmation just
Yeah,
to try something new from last
sure.
week.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, thought similar to last week, we'll just share a little bit about some tips of how meditation affects the brain. And it's kind of, at least for me, that's kind of neat as you're thinking about the actual science of meditation. It's kind of fun, and it's actually kind of game changing when you think about it. That how even 20, 30 years ago, people thought that like when you were late 20s, your brain had already stopped changing. You couldn't really adapt and grow in your brain. So the fact that now researchers and scientists are saying, well, no, there's this thing called neuroplasticity where your brain is always changeable. It's kind of like a muscle. And so that's kind of cool. So we can exercise the different parts of our brain and help them to grow. And so, the obvious part of that is what are the parts of the brain that we want to grow? And really, when you think about it, there's at least from what most research says, there's two main parts of the brain. So there's like the prefrontal lobe here, and then there's the limbic system. It's kind of in the towards the midbrain, and there's some parts around the limbic system. But the prefrontal lobe and the prefrontal cortex is really the most evolved part of the brain. It's kind of the seat of concentration and willpower and decision making and intuition and all these the positive qualities that we want to tap into. You might call them a higher consciousness or even super consciousness. And so the more we focus there, meditation research shows the more we're kind of exercising that muscle. As opposed to in the limbic system, which is and the areas around it, like the amygdala, is like the fight, flight, and freeze. And it's also the part of our brain that we share the most in common with kind of animals, where that kind of primitive part where something triggers us and we're going to either run away, freeze in place, or fight, whatever the threat is. And what research shows is the more we're able to activate that prefrontal lobe in meditation, the more we kind of that limbic system becomes less arousable. So we're less defensive, we're less reactive when there's that threat where we might do one of the three Fs. We may not fight, flight, or freeze, but we may have a different option that we may not have thought about because we're tapping into our intuition, and also we're tapping into another part of the prefrontal cortex, that empathy, compassion, which if you're locked in fight, flight, or freeze, you're not thinking of what's that other person thinking and feeling. You're not really tapping into that piece. Yeah, I mean, just another fun piece is, at least one research that I really enjoyed, was that the more you're activating that prefrontal lobe and cortex, you're helping grow new dendrites, which is basically a fancy scientific term that helps nerves communicate with each other more. So anyway, it's kind of cool. So that's just a little bit about how meditation affects the brain. And I'll just say a word about how meditation and affirmations kind of combine together too, since we're doing affirmations today. And affirmations are such a beautiful thing. They're really I think some people are wary of affirmations because you're repeating something over and over again, and they think, oh, it's it feels like it's a cultish or something like that. But I think people get that feeling when you're involving the heart in something, when it's not just a mind thing. Because affirmations aren't really going to be effective if you're not bringing the heart energy, the feeling energy into it. So that's really one of the keys to affirmations, and that we'll do tonight, really to bring that feeling energy into it. And sometimes it's kind of a fake it till you make it with affirmations, because you may not feel it in the moment. But it's something that you want to live into, even if you don't feel it yet. You want to kind of, oh, this is, even if I'm not there yet, this is that higher consciousness reality that I want to live into. Because sometimes we say affirmations all the time. Like we might say, like even for me, as one example, during this course, one affirmation that I realized I was saying to myself, for a while, was like, I'm not really an imaginary person. Like I'm not good at imagining things. And I realized that by telling myself that, it was kind of becoming this negative feedback loop where I was telling myself that, and then I wasn't, really doing it well, as opposed to trying to exercise that imagination and visualization muscle and to really grow that. And so sometimes we just tell ourselves those simple thoughts sometimes, and they kind of become a negative feedback loop. Whereas this affirmation is a positive feedback loop where we're repeating this kind of higher consciousness, higher awareness, super consciousness thought or affirmation. And so we're living more into that and letting go of those subconsciousness, which is kind of our old habits that we want to let go of. Because the subconscious serves us, if we, like every time we got in a car, if we didn't have our subconscious, would be like, how do I drive this thing again? Like I put my foot on the gas, and so it serves us. But that's where we're using affirmations to bring our subconscious on board and help it align more with our super conscious reality. So does that all sound good? Any questions before we dive in?
No, very, very interesting, very
Yeah.
engaging and motivating.
Awesome, cool. All right, so we'll dive into our meditation then, and you already know many of the practices, so I won't go too much into the deep nitty gritty of each one, but I'll give us some reminders of each. So we'll start out with some good posture. So make sure, if you can, if it looks like you're in a chair, so if you can, it's good to have the knees below the hips. So if you need a blankets or a cushion to elevate the hips a little bit so they're above the knees, then that's great. If you can bring the spine straight, and it's really good to have the chest lifted and shoulders back, really to open the heart, and also bring the hands at the juncture of thighs and abdomen in a more receptive posture. If you can, kind of have the ears above the shoulders and our chin parallel to the ground. So we're not like way up here or way down here, but just right parallel to the ground. And it looks like your posture is good. You get that spine straight. Try to bring those shoulders back a little bit. See how that feels. Yeah, that looks good. Beautiful. Excellent. And then, as you remember, we'll keep the gaze uplifted during our meditation, while our attention will be on the breath. So good. So we'll start out with some double breathing with tension and relaxation. So we'll start out with the double inhale, and then hold with tension of the entire body, and then double exhale. All right, so let's do that 3 times together. So double inhale together, and tense the entire body and hold the tension, and double exhale and let go of the tension. Again, double breathe in through the nose, hold the tension, double breathe out through mouth and nose, and let go of the tension. And one more time, double breathe in, hold, and double breathe out through the mouth and nose, and let go of the tension. Good, and just take a regular breath in and out, just naturally, through the nose. And now we'll do some full yogic breath with equal count breathing. So as you breathe in, on your next inhalation, just notice your belly expanding, your lower rib cage expanding, and then your chest expanding. And then hold it for the same count. And then on an exhalation, just release back in the same way, letting your chest contract back, and your lower rib cage, and then your belly. For about a count of 6, you can follow my lead if that's helpful a couple more times. So inhale with an upward wave of expansion as you expand the belly, lower rib cage, and chest. And then hold. And then exhale with a wave of relaxation, relaxing the chest, rib cage, and belly. Let's do it 2 more times. Inhale. with a wave of expansion. Hold the breath. And exhale and relax and let go of the chest, lower rib cage, and belly. Good. So just let go of the breath now. Take a normal, natural inhalation and exhalation through the nose. With the chest lifted, gaze uplifted at the point between the eyebrows. And we'll begin our practice just by simply watching the breath, becoming an observer of our own breath. So continuing to breathe naturally without any control. Pay attention to where you notice the breath most clearly in the nose. So the attention is on the breath. You can even just take a moment to identify where you feel the breath passing most clearly in the nose. It could be lower, middle, or upper part of the nose. Let's just take a minute to be aware of the breath and the flow of the breath in the nostrils. Now let's add the Hong-Sau mantra. Hong-Sau meaning I am spirit, as a dissolving quality on the inhale and emerging quality in the exhale. And so just as you breathe in naturally, say Hong, and as you breathe out naturally, repeat Sa. The Hong-Sau mantra helps to concentrate the mind, focus our awareness. So now let's add the movement of the right forefinger, which is also helpful in bringing more attention to the mind. And so with the inhale, as you repeat Sa, bring the right forefinger gently towards the palm. And on the exhale, as you repeat Sa, you can gently release the forefinger back down. If the mind gets distracted, that's perfectly okay and normal. Just gently but firmly bring the attention back to breath and to mantra. If the breath slows down, that's good. Just enjoy a brief sense of freedom from the inhalation and the exhalation. And then let the breath come back when it wants to. enjoying the stillness. If the breath gets shallow, that's fine too. Just remembering to keep the gaze upturned and to breathe naturally, watching the breath, repeating the mantra with the movement of the forefinger. Let's practice Hong-Sau now for a bit. And after your next inhalation, gently exhale 3 times. And leave the breath out for as long as is comfortable. Whenever the breath wants to flow back again, let it do so. Don't pay any attention to the breath. Let go of the breath and attention to the breath. Let go of the mantra. Let go of the movement of the right forefinger. And with the gaze still uplifted, enjoy that ever expansive peace. Merge yourself in that peace, that calmness, whatever quality it might be that you're feeling of higher awareness. And now to deepen our experience of expanding into that peace, into that calmness, into that divine presence, I invite you to join with me in mentally repeating this affirmation so it keep our consciousness more internalized. Even though I'll say it out loud, I invite you to say it mentally, not only in your mind, but in your heart, and with feeling at the beginning, with energy, and then getting more calm, more internalized as we repeat this affirmation. I go forth in perfect faith in the power of omnipresent good to bring me what I need at the time I need it. I go forth in perfect faith in the power of omnipresent good to bring me what I need at the time I need it. I go forth in perfect faith in the power of omnipresent good to bring me what I need at the time I need it. Allowing your heart to continue opening to that omnipresent good, continuing to deepen these words as we say them a couple more times. I go forth in perfect faith in the power of omnipresent good to bring me what I need at the time I need it. I go forth in perfect faith in the power of omnipresent good to bring me what I need at the time I need it. And getting softer, letting this affirmation become even more internalized in our heart and our spirit. I go forth in perfect faith in the power of omnipresent good to bring me what I need at the time I need it. I go forth in perfect faith in the power of omnipresent good to bring me what I need at the time I need it. Touching that omnipresent good deep in our hearts, at the heart of the universe, at the heart of all beings. Now letting go of the affirmation, but holding on to the feeling and diving deeper, expanding into that omnipresent good, that peace, continuing to enjoy the stillness. Now let's prepare our mind to begin to come back to an outward state of awareness. As we take a final breath, and as you're ready, open your eyes.